Hello and welcome to today's Astranti bite-sized video, and we are looking in this very short video at something that's going to help you pretty much at all levels of your CIMA studies, and that's CIMA's ethical principles. Now, what I'm talking about in this specific video is kind of focused on you guys studying for E1. But certainly the ethical principles come up at certificate level, so you may have already studied it there, or you could use this video to help you study for your certificate level. But it doesn't just stop there. This video will guide your knowledge on CIMA's ethical principles, and you'll be able to use it whether you're studying for a case study or for your E3 exam. But not only that, this video will help you beyond your CIMA studies once you're finally qualified. And that's because to qualify as a chartered management accountant, you are going to be expected to maintain correct ethical behavior as set out in CIMA's fundamental principles. Now, accountancy requires making decisions that are often based on personal judgment. Now, while these decisions may not be illegal, they may be deemed to be against the public interest. So let's have a look at this code in more detail. And firstly, we're going to talk about where the code comes from. And that's the IFAC code. Now, IFAC is the International Federation of Accountants and is the global organization for the accountancy profession. The CIMA ethical principles have been adopted based on those suggested by IFAC. Now, these suggestions are also a good guide to the standards of behavior which can be applied to external auditors when reviewing financial statements. So, now we know where CIMA's ethical principles come from, the IFAC code. Let's take a look at CIMA's 5 fundamental ethical principles in more detail. So here we go. We've got integrity, objectivity, professional competence, confidentiality, and professional behavior. Now, these are things that you may have come across in your certificate level, and I'm sure you will come across them again as you carry on your studies. CIMA hold these principles very closely to their heart, and they're often tested because CIMA always want you to make decisions with your ethics in mind. So going forward, when you're doing your case studies, you always got to think ethically. So this is a good thing to remind yourself, even if you do remember it from certificate level. So we're going to begin with integrity. And integrity is all about being straightforward and honest and truthful in all professional and business relationships. Now, the financial accounts should therefore represent an honest and true representation of the financial position of the business. And I think after all we've been talking about in rules-based and principles-based codes, the idea that the financial accounts should be honest and representative of the business, especially after what we learned about Enron, is common sense. Then we move on to objectivity. Now, objectivity is making sure that there's no bias or conflict of interest or the influence of other people that overrides professional judgment. And to protect objectivity, directors and staff should avoid relationships that could bias or overly influence their professional opinion. So, for example, should the CEO ask the accountant to amend the figures in return for promotion, then the accountant should apply the principle of objectivity and refuse. Because in this example, they're being offered something to override their professional judgment, and this shouldn't happen. Now, professional competence and due care is an ongoing commitment to maintain a level of professional knowledge and skill. So the accountant should take care when preparing the statements to make sure that they have the skills and knowledge. So, for example, of relevant accounting standards, and that these rules are followed in a diligent manner and the accounts are produced to be error-free. That's just taking pride in your work and making sure you have the knowledge to do your job to the best standard. The next fundamental ethical principle is confidentiality. Now, this is all about respecting the confidential nature of information that is acquired. Now, in preparing financial statements, the accountant will have access to much of the company's financial information, some of which is likely to be confidential, and this has to be respected. And the 5th principle is professional behavior. Now, this principle requires individuals to comply with relevant laws and regulations. Accounting standards and company law should be applied to the financial statements. So I think after everything that we talked about in this video, These fundamental ethical principles will have come no surprise. I think we can see a lot of basis in the principles we've already talked about, but it's really important to remember these are CIMA's 5 principles. Okay, and just to make sure we're absolutely clear with this, we're going to run through an example of Pascal. So what I want you to do is to listen to this story and then pause me and listen again if you need to, and then go through each of the 5 principles and see whether Pascal acted in the correct way, and then unpause me and then we'll go through it together. So here's the example. Pascal has just passed his CIMA certificate exams and on doing so joined Untitled Limited for his first accountancy role. Upon arrival, he has been asked to do his company's corporation tax return, and not wanting to seem as if he was not keen in his first week, tells them he knows what to do, and so goes online to find out how to do it. He's got to go to a party that night, so although he can't work it out properly, he fills in the form as best he can so he can get out on time. Hoping to save Unethical Limited some money, wherever he's not quite sure what the right answer is, he always chooses the option that will keep tax down to a minimum. After all, he needs to keep his new employers happy. He heads off to the party where he proceeds to tell everyone about his amazing first day at work and the huge profits his company are making and how much he's already saved them. My future is bright, he tells everyone. So there we go. What I want you to do is pause me now, listen to that story again, work through the 5 principles, and once you've done that, unpause me and we'll work through them together. Okay, so hopefully you've taken the time to work through the principles. Let's take each of these in turn. So firstly, we've got integrity, which is being straightforward, honest, and truthful. Was Pascal demonstrating the principle of integrity? Well, no, because he lied about knowing how to do corporation tax return. So he was dishonest. And straight away, he has undermined the trust he has with his employer. More specifically, he is now unable to do the job he's been assigned to because of his lie. So no, Pascal should not have lied. He has not demonstrated integrity. Well, what about objectivity? Well, he hasn't been objective because he showed bias towards his company, Unethical, because accountants should apply the rules without any bias whatsoever, even if it means there are negative consequences. And obviously Pascal filled out the corporation tax return trying to keep Unethical's taxes down, even if he wasn't sure of the figures. The next principle is professional competence and due care. So no, Pascal hasn't demonstrated this principle either, because he shouldn't have done a corporation tax return if he didn't know how to do it. Even after he started, he should still take due care to do it as best he could, and not just go to the party before working out how it should be done. The next principle is confidentiality, and I think we can all agree that Pascal telling everyone at the party how much profit the company was making was not acting with confidentiality, pardon me. And then our final principle is professional behaviour. And no, Pascal didn't apply the tax rules properly and is actually potentially committing a crime on behalf of his organisation. So no, I think we can safely say he has not acted with professional behaviour at the front of his mind. So Pascal risks being brought up in front of CIMA's ethics committee, being fined, and perhaps being thrown out of the institute. Now, his actions have also put his company at risk, as he may have done the tax returns improperly, which could put the company in violation of tax laws as well as damage their reputation. And we know from our ethics section how important reputation is. So there we go. Well, there we go. That's CIMA's ethical principles for you. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you want more of these, be sure to like this video or subscribe to our channel. And perhaps you may be thinking that you're getting really close to taking your exams and you want to practice what you've learned in this video to see how much of it you've actually learned. Well, be sure to go to our website and check out our exam practice kits, which are realistic exam type questions. Or go for one of our mocks, which is going to prepare you perfectly for your big exam day. Good luck with your revision, and thank you for watching.